Hello and welcome back to another Kingdom Hearts tier list. This time, we're not doing worlds, we're doing keyblades. Kingdom Hearts 1 keyblades to begin with. And I'm gonna try to remember both if they're actually useful to me at any point in the game, as well as just design, but I feel like design's gonna, for the most part, be what I judge them on, unless they are just one of those keyblades that make my game. They're with me the entire way until I get Ultimate Weapon, and I don't need any other keyblades, except for very specific situations. Anyway, let's get started with the Kingdom Key. It's a solid keyblade. It's very bland. That's the point. I don't know where to put this one just because that's the point. It is your first keyblade, and for a long time you keep it. I think the first keyblade you get is in Deep Jungle. So for quite a while, this is the keyblade you get. So I do use it for a long time. I just never go back to it after I get a different one. Once I get the Deep Jungle keyblade, that's what I go for. Though at that point I do kind of tend to just upgrade with every new keyblade I get, because they're all just a bit stronger than the last in most cases. So I shouldn't go basing it on that too much. In terms of design though, it is the staple, which gives it a lot of bonus points, but I am going to put it just right here on the good side of the middle. Next up, I believe this one's called the Crab Claw. I'm not going to remember the names for all of them, but I believe this is called the Crab's Claw. This one is pretty bad in terms of design. It's just a stick with a little crab on it. And honestly, that looks like it's going to snap off at the first hit against a wall. It's not the most functional looking keyblade. It's not the most cool looking keyblade. The color pattern doesn't relax, it doesn't soothe my eyes. It's not a bad color palette, it makes sense. Orange scrap, blue water, it makes a lot of sense. It's just not a very top tier keyblade, that's all I can say, I guess. Then there's this one, which I think you get for the Ice Titan in Olympus Coliseum. It has a very different shape than the other keyblades. Like, if you look at the other ones, there isn't really a single other one that has a big bend in it, so I guess it's unique. It just kind of doesn't look that great. I'm not sure where to put this one. I think I'm going to put it here just because it does look more like one complete picture than this one does, and it does have that unique shape. It just isn't the prettiest looking one. Then we have this one, which I think is called Rumbling Rose. I could be wrong. It's the one that comes back in Kingdom Hearts 2 for Beast Castle, and in that game it's actually a really good one that I tend to still use in the end game for my Valor runs. In this game, it is so short. I don't mean to be rude, but let's compare them to each other. It's like half the size. Maybe a little more than half. And I mean, hey, being short isn't a bad thing, but for a weapon, this is more like a key dagger than a key sword, key blade, whatever. I do like the design other than the size though. So for utility, this one is quite low. For design, this one's quite high. I'm going to put it in the good side of the middle. Then we get to this one. I think it's called the Jungle King. Again, I could be wrong. I'm going to put this one in A tier, just because I personally like the idea of what it looks like. It's like a dried stick. And I used to play with sticks as swords when I was a kid. I used to go into a bush, find a nice stick, and be like, oh my god. And I'd go to my brother and it'd be like, bro, I found the best stick. I have one. This is it. And then when that stick would eventually get lost or stolen, I would feel a dagger in my heart. I cared so much about sticks. I would make handles for them and everything. I really loved my sticks as a kid. This brings back that childhood feeling of having a cool stick and just feeling like you own the town. So I love this one. In terms of utility, it's not the most useful because it doesn't have crits, but its stats, well, it's better than the Kingdom Key, which is your only other Keyblade at that point. And it does not, you don't really need crits. It's pretty long. I think it's longer than the Kingdom Key. That's about as long. It's about as long. I guess it's technically maybe a little shorter. Could also be a little longer because it looks a little more zoomed out. I'm not sure. It is a long Keyblade either way, and it does a decent amount of damage for that point of the game. So I'm going to put it higher than those others. This one, Lady Luck. I don't remember ever using it. It's also, I think, found in a chest somewhere way after you finish the level. So it's kind of underwhelming. Easy to miss, I guess. I'm going to put that one here just because it feels more complete than this one. But at the same time, it's not the nicest Keyblade. I guess we're going to just do this because I think it's most definitely not like a good side of average Keyblade, but it's definitely better than whatever this is. So I guess Crabclaw goes all the way down there. Sorry, Crabclaw. It is the Keyblade I'm currently using in my playthrough, but I just can't give it too much because I'm going to replace it as soon as I have anything better. Even if it's the same stats, just I would choose a different one over this one personally. I do like crabs though, not to be bullying my crab brothers out there. This one, which I think is Lion's Head or Sleeping Lion or something like that. It's the one based on Leon. I don't remember where you get it in Kingdom Hearts 1. Probably get it from Leon. That would make sense. And I don't think it's an amazing Keyblade, but it's also not a bad one. So I'm going to, again, put it in the middle. It's a decent Keyblade. Not a great one, not a bad one. I don't remember its stats. I believe it is pretty well balanced, so I'm sure that it's pretty good. So again, it's going to be in the middle. Metal Chocobo. This one is, as far as I remember, not at all balanced. This one's power. And I love myself some good power. It is not the greatest looking one. It is a pretty basic and simple one. I'm sure maybe if you've played a lot of Final Fantasy, this one does look very good, because I'm sure it's some reference to something Final Fantasy. I haven't played Final Fantasy. I do know what a chocobo is. I do know I love chocobos. But, I mean, other than the little, like, keychain, there isn't really that much chocobo about it. I don't know, it looks more like metal chocolate than metal chocobo to me. And that sounds like a horrible joke, but that is genuinely what's just in my mind whenever I see the words metal chocobo. And it's been that way since I was a kid, and I couldn't read very well, so that's probably why. It's gonna be an A tier nonetheless. Oathkeeper, I believe is the name of this one. If I got this one wrong, then I am really a failure of a Kingdom Hearts fan. But Oathkeeper, I feel like it isn't gonna go higher than this, just because it looks okay, but it's not the best looking one, and its stats are okay, but not that great. It is, again, pretty average. This one, I honestly don't remember. Is this Pumpkinhead? Yeah, this one's Pumpkinhead, I think. And then the one in Kingdom Hearts 2 is the size of Pumpkin. Pumpkinhead is A tier because I always use it every time I play the game. It is my main Keyblade. This is not actually at all Pumpkinhead. My bad. This is Oblivion. So it's going to go one tier higher because that's what replaces my Pumpkinhead. I have Pumpkinhead until I find Oblivion, then I use Oblivion until the rest of the run, until eventually I get my ultimate weapon. For that reason, I'm going to keep this here, because I don't want just ultimate weapon in there. I want something else to, take that top as well. And since I already started on Pumpkinhead, I'm going to put that here. It's a pretty good power Keyblade. Power is my kind of game style, my kind of gameplay. I love the Keyblade, love the design. It is one of those that does kind of look like it could break fairly easily, I suppose. It does look very thin, but, well, it's more so about, is it cool? And I like it. I like this little handle and everything. The hand guard's pretty cool. The keychain actually looks like a keychain I would maybe use. I like it. Then we have this one, the one from Olympus Coliseum. I don't remember what it's called. It's very high damage, no magic. I feel like it's pretty short from what I remember. But I'm going to put it one higher than the Divine Rose, or whatever it's called. Just because I do actually usually use it, unlike this one. This one. I don't remember this one. Is this the One-Winged Angel Keyblade? It might be, because I haven't ever used it. It looks cool though, so I'm going to put it in A tier. Yeah, I like the color pattern. I like the red with the dark purple bluish color. Looks very hellish, very... I don't know, I wish this actually had more of a use. Because I wouldn't mind using this Keyblade. The flames could maybe be a little more practical looking, a little more key looking, but I do like this Keyblade. Spellbinder, D tier. Doesn't look great, never use it, very short, not a great Keyblade. Free Wishes, I believe this is called. I do actually use this one, but that's just because it's, again, pretty much an upgrade every time you get a new Keyblade. I'm going to put it in here just because it is a very short one. And it is pretty met in stats. It does have a nice color pattern, but other than that, it doesn't have much going for it. Ultimate Weapon is the ultimate. You know, it's got to be in here just because it is the perfect weapon of the game. And I honestly think this one fits. I like the sword hidden behind the weird decorations. The decorations have always been a bit weird to me with Ultimate Weapon. But I do really like how this one looks. It's one of my favorite Keyblades, I'd say. Just because it's such a job, such a hassle to get. Those stones, they suck. Especially the Serenity Stones. I believe they're called Serenity Stones. Especially those, they suck. I hate them. However, the result is great. The Keyblade is actually the best in the game, as far as I can tell, as far as I can remember. It is actually worthy of being called the Ultimate Weapon. And then we have this one. I don't remember what this one's called. Actually, there's the one missing as well, the Fairy Harp. Gonna put that, the invisible Fairy Harp that isn't in here, we're gonna put that in C tier because it's a shorty that is not all that useful and I never use it. I think it's the shortest Keyblade in the game, I could be wrong. So I just imagine Fairy Harp is in here and it goes over there. This one, don't remember what it's called, it's the Pinocchio one. Also gonna put it in there. Don't think it looks great. Don't think it has great stats, but I'm gonna put it there. I do want to point out it's not exactly on point with what is the prettiest, what is the worst, because I do think this one is prettier than the Pinocchio one. But overall, I think this is a pretty good rating. So this is going to be my final ranking for Kingdom Hearts 1 Keyblades. And I will see you next time for Kingdom Hearts 2 Keyblades.